All right, we got back and by today, mainly biceps, a little bit back to start it off though. And I'm not gonna make the cart. This is better. No, I'll keep it up. I'm not gonna make the cart talk about the training. I'll say what I'm doing at the end or before I walk in there. But we'll make it about reversing out of your cut back into a bulk, because I'm probably gonna be doing that within the next week or two. And I wanted to touch on it because, quite honestly, you could screw your entire progress worth of a cut in like a few weeks of a bulk out of your diet if you don't do it properly. You know what I mean? Like if you just slam calories back in, the amount of fat you can put on super quick, even if it's been a mini cut like this, you can gain it back very fast. So I wanted to touch on that because I think I used to do it incorrectly, and it's very easy to do it incorrectly and do more harm than good, right? So assuming you're tracking your calories, right, drop or cutting, I mean, yeah, if you want a successful cut, it's kind of like step one. Let me use actual numbers so it makes sense. Let's say you're eating 2,500 calories on your cut right now. And you're finishing up your cut. For whatever reason, you've decided, all right, this is the best time to get back to either a gaining phase, bulk. Either your appetite's back, in my case, that's why. Or you're lean enough to where you want to start putting on muscle again. A couple other reasons, but if you're still losing weight, right, you can either, one, depending on your scenario, keep the same amount of calories until like you reach baseline again to where your weight doesn't drop anymore, which is possible depending on your scenario. But for me, what I found, it usually just keeps dropping, at least for a solid another 6 to 10 weeks, gradually. But what you want to do is bump it up. I'd say initially, if you're losing, I'm guessing like a pound to pound and a half a week on your cut, I want you to bump it up like 500, right? Which may seem like, holy shit, that's a lot. But right, we're trying to transition back into the bulk, right? Properly without throwing fat on, but we don't want to waste 4 weeks of dropping a pound to losing like 3/4 of a pound to losing like half a pound to losing like a quarter of a pound, and then maintenance, and then it's like we just spent a month just transitioning from cut to a bulk. The only times that's reasonable is when you're going from like a bulk to a cut for like a mini cut. When you're going from like a bulk to like a prep, because a prep you want to take it as slow as possible because you got like 16 weeks to get shredded, right? You have the time. And it makes sense, given that you're putting your body into such a depleted state, low body fat percentage. That's when it makes sense. But really, other than that, you don't want to spend 4 weeks just fucking around at baseline. So 500 cals, if you're still losing a pound a week, bumps you back up. See how your body responds. If you're at maintenance then for a week, like you bump it to 500, and week goes by, you're like the same weight, I'd say bump it like another 250 just to be safe the first week back. And then if you're gaining like a little over a pound from there, just hold it at that amount until it becomes time to up it more, which is usually once I get down to like about a pound a week or a little less than a pound. It can vary person to person how much you can put on per week without slamming fat on, but that's a good guideline. Pound to a pound and a half a week is a good guideline. Once you get under a pound, yes, add some more calories. Like it ranges anywhere from like another 100 calories to another 250, usually once you get into a bulk again. But I think where people go wrong is they'll take whatever calories they're at, and then, I don't know, maybe go from like the 2,500 to either 4K a day or they'll just like eat out for like a week straight because they're done with their cut and they're like want to go enjoy some foods again. Now I'm not gonna say just don't eat out ever again, but I mean, we can have some self-restraint here and leave it to one meal a week when you're bulking, right? And that's what I do. It's what most pros do. I'm not calling myself a pro, obviously, but for that reason, obviously that's part of enjoying life. Going out with family, friends, girl, dude, whatever you want. Just save that meal for then, and then you get a cheat meal. So, yeah, that was just the biggest thing I wanted to touch on, is you gradually bring the calories up. Because, yeah, you also feel like shit. I remember when I did that. I'll give a story to it, just so it's not like just lecturing you. My freshman year of college, so I'm a senior now, graduating. Freshman year, spring semester, I like crash dieted. In other words, I cut calories so quick onto a cut. I dropped maybe 25 pounds in like a month. Yeah, I was shredded, sure, but I sure as hell did not look healthy. And then I still made it worse by, once I was done with it, I had a set day that I was like, all right, once I hit this day, all right, we'll take these photos, make it look cool, and then I'll just eat whatever I want to get back on the bulk right away, right? Because I was starving, because I obviously starved myself. Yeah, obviously that part's not good. But I probably had upwards of like 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day coming out of like a 2,500 calorie deficit. And I had probably that amount for, gosh, at least 6 weeks. So almost a month, 2 months, almost 2 months. And your pumps may be crazy in the gym, but then you just start to get waterlogged. In other words, the water just sits in like your arm, like throughout your body. You look puffy. You get a big old double chin because water's sitting in here. Carbs as well, obviously. But yeah, it wasn't good. No good. And I basically ended up at not all the way to the same body fat percentage I was before cutting, but pretty similar. So it was just basically like a full walking in a circle. I want to say full circle moment, but like I felt like I just like walked in a circle of progress and I didn't get shit done because I crash dieted, lost everything. And then because I crash dieted, I lost muscle, obviously, because you lose way more muscle the quicker you cut. And then the time that I spent back putting weight back on, probably the muscle I put on was the stuff that I just lost from my cut, and I just put the fat back on, right? So it's like, oh, you may be thinking you're progressing quicker because the scale is moving quicker, but by no means at all are you. Which it kind of just feels contradictory, but it took myself, learning that firsthand, as well as a couple of years after it, or maybe a year or so after it, to really understand the slow is like more in bodybuilding because of that. And I also experienced that firsthand now over the past like 18 months, almost 2 years now, of slow progression, but like accurate progression in both directions, bulking and cutting. And I can confidently say in the past year and a half, it has been by far the most progression my physique has ever seen. Like substantially, like crazy amount. And it comes from that gradual change, right? I'm not saying no change, and I'm not talking about like main gaining or some maintenance shit. Because honestly, I don't see much difference between doing main gaining shit and then the vicious cycle that I just explained about. I don't know, like crash dieting and like hard bulking. Like I feel like doing that and like main gaining is like damn near gonna have you just going in a circle. At least main gaining, you're not gonna destroy your hormones from dropping weight that quick, or just being that lean. But yeah, that's kind of how it goes. If you saw some of my videos like I don't know, maybe how I looked at the beginning of this series? Maybe. I don't know. There's got to be somewhere on YouTube, but you can see like how lean I was on my prep. I was 190 stage weight, and then a month and a half ago, before I started this mini cut, I was 223. 223, like, lean. Relatively lean. Yeah, that's no joke of an improvement. You know what I mean? That's from doing it gradually. So, yeah. If you're if you're skeptical about it, or like, you know, I'm not sure, maybe I want to try this or that, I feel like that's inevitable for honestly anything that you're doing and trying to get better at, of trying to find your own way. So I'm not going to be like, don't do it, you must do this. Like, I guess try whatever you're thinking that you should be doing, see what happens, and then if it's not the way you wanted, you can loop back and reconsider what I said. You know what I mean? I find myself doing that even to this day, but in other stuff other than fitness, right? Because I'm still relatively new to other things that I pursue. I wouldn't consider myself new to the gym. But yeah, that's how it goes. We'll do 2 bicep exercises, or 2 back exercises. We'll do like a horizontal movement, vertical movement, and then we'll just do like 3 exercises of biceps, because today's supposed to be mainly bicep day. Yeah, and then pose and get out of there. I look forward to this day just because it's quicker. As much as I love working out, the days that it gets to like, I don't know, like once I hit like the over an hour and like 15 mark of a workout, bro, I just want to go home. As much as I enjoy being there. Maybe it's just because my energy gives out at that point. Caffeine's starting to wear off. Whatever. But that's why I try to keep my workouts concise, quick. Because I can also push harder. I'm not feeling like tired. So yeah, that's really it. We'll start with whatever back machine is open that I will find reasonable to do today. Because it is a Monday at 7 p.m. There's 75 fucking cars in the parking lot right now. So yeah, we'll see. All right, see you guys in there.
I had to drop the weight a little bit. If I'm getting 6 reps in my fucking first set, there's no point in me trying to throw more on there or do the same weight. I don't know, I guess scheme for back. I just said 1 horizontal, 1 vertical. As long as one of them is like 6 to 10-ish, and one's 10 to 15, that'll be fine. But just because it's not the main thing we're hitting today, I'm not overly concerned about it. This is why I'm only doing 2 exercises for it. I'm still starting with it, even though it's not the main thing today, just because if I have the biceps first and then into back, the quality of the back moves is going to be shit, you know what I mean? So I still want to get the most out of back, even though it's not the main thing I'm hitting. And then I know just hitting back first, it's not going to take away from the rest of my bicep day, so. All right.
So like, I like cruising in my truck at night. It calms me down, especially because I just got it back. I like the green. I think a little bit better than you want. I do too. I think you want to use it. Yeah. I just looked at it and I was like, yeah. And I was looking at the bolts and the bolts. Yeah. The paint job looks good, the work looks good. Dude, they put that body on. And then I gotta go to Anita Bubbles. So it's there. So that's everywhere I'm going today. She's just throwing face straight ahead, like she's a hair rider. You know what I mean? Yeah, definitely for sure. I mean, the energy's the same coming in. You know what I mean? It's honestly it's best until I'm out of there. I don't personally say a word. I really don't. I just don't want to react with it. You know what I mean? Because like I don't mind doing double back hitting you, you know, and hear what she's had to say, and like giving you like, well, this is coming from this, or this, you know, how you should feel it. So like, whatever she tells me, I'm not gonna be malicious about, you know. Like, you got 5 days a week to do it. Let's figure it out then. Or if you're gonna do it, do it. You got nothing else going on. Just get it done. For what? The needle thing? Yeah. Why? The flea market. Why? Yeah, nobody's maintaining it. Well, everybody around there is pretending that they're all fucking done.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Venden uno que es Offseason. Es la parte de arriba de la vaca, como el lomo, esta parte de aquí la vaca pisada. Y ahí es como para corte de carne, un costo que venden el pedazo, entonces, eso sí vale. ¿Te sale? No, no te sale como unos 30 uy. You can finish.
All right. I did not say a singular word that lift. Why? Maybe I was lazy. Maybe it was just that many people in the gym. I kind of wanted to be a little respectful. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I could have still talked and it would have been respectful. I'm just saying from a, oh shit. I got it right there. Camera POV. Obviously, there's people in the background, and also some of the lifts. I just didn't move the camera, different size and shit, just because I didn't want to get a bunch of people in and talk, and they're sitting in the background and talking, whatever. Nonetheless, we're 96 days of it now. The fuck? I don't know what that was, but 96 days, I think. So, yeah, we're doing good. That may actually be the last day of, or tomorrow probably, the last day of the mini cut. If I had to guess, I don't know, what are we thinking? Pretty lean? I think that looked pretty good, quite honestly, being the end of the mini. Yeah, solid. What are we weighing in at right now? I'll start talking about informational stuff, I promise. But what the fuck was I, 14 this morning? 213? Something like that. So, pretty good. I mean, shit. If I had to guess, I was probably that body fat percentage I am now at probably 205. Maybe even 200. Nah, more like 205. Probably like 205 I was this body fat percentage 8 months ago, going like during my prep, which if I had to guess, I probably gained upwards of 10 pounds, which is like ridiculous to say, but given the context specifically coming out of a show, it's entirely possible. Because when you get that depleted for a bodybuilding show, once you are going out of the show, right, rebounding out of it, it does put your body in a, I don't want to say it, like hyper anabolic state. You can look it up if you don't believe me, but it's like right after show, your body really, really, really wants to put weight back on, body weight, because of being that lean, just from like a biological standpoint, right? Your body has fat on it for a couple of reasons. One, to produce hormones. Another reason is as an energy reserve, as like a survival tactic, right? I guess like thousands of years ago, if you don't eat for a day or two, your body uses the fat on your body as energy, and that hasn't changed. So once you get that shredded, right, your body's just dying to put weight back on for surviving. It doesn't have to be exactly fat is dying to put back on, but body weight in general. So if you slowly feed back food, the same concept I just said about how bulking and cutting, how we said that on the car ride to the gym, how that's the way you do it, especially coming out of a show. You can put on almost all muscle and minimal fat coming out of a show because of the slow progression of food plus the hyper like anabolic state your body goes into after a show. And dude, I definitely put on a lot of mass in that first like 3 months, and I was still like shredded, which is crazy. But that would be like the number one thing that contributed to that much amount of muscle mass. Can you do that just from like a mini cut? Of course. To that extent, probably not. But I will say, obviously, there's a difference between the two, right? You spend 16 weeks, 4 months prepping for a bodybuilding show, right? That's 4 months of you not gaining any muscle, and then probably a couple months of like a quick amount of gain. Compared to if you did like a mini cut for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 months, and then you have this extra 2 months to gain weight. Obviously, the total amount of time that you're putting towards bulking is different, just given the context of how much you put on within a certain duration is more. Does that make sense? Right. More time spent bulking when you only do a mini cut instead of a prep, compared to prep and a little less time rebounding, but a lot of muscle. But I guess that could lead to the question like, well, why don't you just compete I don't know, like twice a year or something, just to get like that hyper anabolic state after every time you prep. A couple reasons. The muscle tissue, staying on your body and that becoming your baseline, right? The baseline meaning if you just ate like at, I don't know, I guess maintenance or cut down. Baseline is like what your body is like normally used to holding on to. Your body has a baseline amount of muscle and also baseline amount of fat, right? Let's say if I stopped dieting entirely right now and just went merely based off of like instinct of how much to eat, you know what I mean? Just eat till you're full. Don't think too much about your diet. Eat normally. How I did for 20 years of my life before I started tracking my diet. Like if I went back to that, my body would revert back to its baseline amount of muscle and baseline amount of fat. Now that baseline amount of muscle is definitely way more now because I've trained my body to hold on to more, right? If you just keep bulking and prepping twice a year, you're not going to be able to build that like baseline of what your body is going to hold on to normally, right? And why does that matter? Well, if you're going to prep twice when you're losing weight, you're way less likely to hold on to the weight. Does that make sense? Yes, this is a real thing. Sounds kind of like some theory here, but same concept of a couple months going before your prep. Bodybuilders typically eat, well, their peak bulk, right? But they let their peak bulk level off body weight wise, so they stop gaining weight, but they're still eating like 6,000 calories a day. They try to hold on to that for like at least like 4 weeks, maybe a little more, to try to let that muscle they gained from their bulk settle, as in they just try to make that your metabolic baseline of how much muscle your body's gonna hold on to. And that's the goal of them basically eating at maintenance, but like a really, really high calorie maintenance at the end of their bulk before a prep, is because once they go into the prep, they want to be able to hold on as much as possible, right? So that's why if you're trying to like trick the system and compete twice a year and get like that hyper anabolic state after competing, there's kind of a drawback, which is that like it's not going to become your baseline. You're not going to be way less likely to hold on to it every time you go into another prep, right? Like if I prepped right now, I may hold on to a good amount of it, sure. But I'm just saying, like, for the probability standpoint, right? I mean, because we don't know exactly how much my body's gonna hold on to. Like, you can't like just look up like I can't just take my blood work right now and be like, oh yeah, according to this level of your blood work, you're gonna hold on to all your muscle during your cut. That's not how it works. Okay, it's kind of like guesswork to an extent. Sure, I'd probably hold on to more than I did for my previous prep, but not as much as if I just did this another bulk, held on to it for a couple months, and then prepped maybe like a solid year later, right? You know what I mean? That's not why I'm gonna wait a couple years for competing again. I just don't want to go through a prep right now while trying to get my other shit together, like financials and graduating college and making the content. But that obviously doesn't mean that I'm going to slack on the training and the diet, as you can see. Just don't want to throw in a prep. That's why we're doing a mini cut. My coach possibly would have wanted. He honestly wanted me to compete in the same show again this coming summer, which understandable. I just didn't want to. So, yeah. I don't know, man. I don't think I needed to explain the bicep curls to you. I think they were pretty straightforward. The back movements, I guess, were kind of simple. Yeah. All right. Tomorrow we got gluten hammies. I hope my coach responds tonight, so tomorrow I can get a cheat meal and start this bulk. Now, like I said, 1 a week, right? I'm not gonna just start downing an entire cheat day or cheat week going back to no bulk. But I am looking forward to getting some. So, all right. Appreciate y'all watching. See y'all tomorrow for leg day. Peace.